Beekeepers have a lot of unique words and jargon to describe different parts of beekeeping. If you watch this short video, you'll learn a lot of those new terms and you'll learn a lot about beekeeping too. Hi, my name's Tim. I've been beekeeping for about 4 years and I want to share my adventure of beekeeping with you. But today we're going to talk about 10 terms that are unique beekeeper jargon. At the end of the video, let me know how many of the 10 words did you already know? Okay, let's get started. Number 1, comb. The comb is the structure of interconnected wax cells that the bees build to store honey, pollen, and baby bees. Where do they get the wax? When they need wax, bees eat honey, and their bodies process the honey into wax, and they squeeze these wax scales from between their abdominal segments. Number 2, queen cell. When a honeybee colony is ready to split to become 2 colonies, the workers make a new queen by building out a long queen cell with a female honeybee egg in it and royal jelly. Number 3, swarm. When their new queen is about to hatch, the old queen leaves the hive with about half the bees, about 10,000 bees, and they fill the air and they fly around until they find a place to land. It takes about 30 minutes and they form a cluster. They might stay there for about 24 hours while they search for a new home site. Beekeepers often get called to relocate swarms by nervous neighbors, which leads me to number 4. Sometimes the bees choose a home site somewhere that's really inconvenient for humans, like the wall of a house. And that's when people call out beekeepers to come and do a cutout, which is term number 4. Number 5 is brood. They start out as a little egg, and then the egg grows into what looks like a little tiny little worm or larva, and the larva becomes a pupa. They grow inside the cocoon until they get their wings and they're ready to hatch, and now they finally look like a baby bee. Number 6 is drone. Now, most of the bees in a beehive are female worker bees, but the males are called drones. They're fatter and they have big eyes. Number 7, Reverend Lorenzo Langstroth is called the father of American beekeeping. That's because he developed the hive that most beekeepers use today. He discovered something called bee space, which is how much space bees prefer to have between the combs, and he developed a system with removable frames that made beekeeping a lot easier on the bees and a lot easier on the beekeepers. Number 8 is super. So when your existing brood box gets filled up, it's time to add a super. And the super is where the bees store all the honey in their frames that will later get harvested by the beekeeper or left to the bees to help them get through the winter. Of course, the bees gather nectar and evaporate it to make honey, and that's one of their main sources of food. But their other source of food is pollen, which they forage from flowers and flowering trees and bring it into the hive. They mix the pollen with their own saliva, and they pack it into wax cells, and it's called bee bread, which is number 9. And finally, number 10, orientation flights. So when those little baby bees get their wings, they're still not ready to fly outside the hive. In fact, it's about 2 weeks before they'll take their first journey outside of the hive. And when they do, they make small figure 8s in the air, getting bigger and bigger as they orient. They figure out where they live. So when they do go out to forage, they'll know how to get back home. How did you do? Let me know in the comments.